Thank you both for your time. We'll go ahead and get started now that you guys are in the webinar. So would love for you both to briefly introduce yourselves and tell the audience who you are.
Awesome. Well, do you want to go first, Michael?
I was just going to say, Michael, if you...
Sure thing. Thanks so much. Hello, everybody. My name is Michael. I'm a tech partnerships manager over at Gorgias out of San Francisco. If you're not too familiar with Gorgias, we're an AI-powered customer experience platform that help brands grow with conversational AI across support and now for sales.
Awesome. And Caela.
Yeah, my name is Caela Castillo. I'm the Director of Customer Experience at JAXXON. We are a men's jewelry brand based out of Newport Beach, California. Been here for about 4.5 years now, so definitely been working with both Gorgias and Okendo for quite some time.
Amazing. Thank you both. And I realized on the last session, I actually didn't introduce myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Adina Marabi. I'm Director of Partner Relations here at Okendo. I've been with Okendo coming up on my 4th year next month, which is very exciting. And we'll go ahead and get started today on this session called Driving Retention and Revenue with CX. So Caela, this first question is for you. How would you describe JAXXON's approach to customer experience?
Yeah, I think for us, it's really important for us. Our customers are like fans of the brand, and to be able to, ensure it stays that way, we want to make sure we're giving a lot of attention. We want to focus not just on the service or the support side, but it's the total journey of the customer. So from when they find out about us to their whole shopping journey to post-purchase, and a lot of that is, making sure that we're providing both support, but like we're also there to teach them about the brand, about men's jewelry. A lot of men don't know a whole lot about jewelry. Maybe they only own a watch, or they got a chain from somebody else and now they're kind of getting into that world. So you really have to be able to focus not just on one single area, but all the touch points.
Absolutely. And I just popped into my head, a lot of men don't wear jewelry even until they get married, right? And they
Yes.
have a ring on their finger. So it's really about educating your customers or your potential customers. And as a follow-up question, how does that influence your broader customer marketing strategy as a whole?
Yeah, I think for that is like, being able to provide the feedback from my team to our marketing team, both on the like retention and ad side, like it definitely does, there's a lot of attention put into it, where for them, like they can produce so much incredible content, and we're able to take that story, our product story, to our customers. And then everything we learn, we bring it right back, whether that's through reviews or literally just like conversations. We have that ability to know exactly what the customers are talking about. And if we don't share that, then they're not going to know how these things are really working out from that end.
Right. It's that constant feedback loop.
Absolutely.
Yep. And Caela, what channels or strategies are driving the most impact for JAXXON right now?
Yeah, I think for us, it's really, Facebook and Instagram, social media as a whole is huge, because people are on there. They're, watching our reels, they're watching videos. We have a podcast as well. And so for those who are really in tune to that, they're very interactive. And so we make sure that we engage with every customer on social media. But then on the other side, our, email and SMS marketing is super important as well. And customers love to respond to those. It's not like it just goes out and that's the end of it. We hear back from those customers, and to be able to continue that conversation and take it to the level it needs to go is really important. And customers notice, it's not like they're just talking to a wall. There's someone there they can reach out to.
Absolutely. It's important to, have that ongoing conversation with your customer. And
Absolutely.
Michael, what are you seeing drive the most impact for brands that Gorgias works with?
Yeah, that's a great point. And then I was just thinking about Caela, what you said about like not owning jewelry, and I was like, oh my God, you're talking about me. But I think there's kind of like three big things we're seeing. Like one is the automation really of repetitive tickets. Like I think about half of customer support tickets are being handled automatically today, like using Gorgias. This is really common, like for where's my order questions, return requests, FAQs, like reducing those from your, support team is really, really key, keeping those response times fast. And I think because of that, we're seeing a little bit lower like cost per ticket and like faster resolutions. So that's definitely one of the areas we're looking at. I guess the other would be like revenue driven support with sales assistance. So for example, like engaging shoppers who are live on your website with personalized recommendations, product guidance, just like, with Julia, like if you don't know what you're looking for, having a way to get that question answered quickly and right there is really, really important, especially if it's like high intent to convert. So that's another one. And then I guess lastly, like deep integrations that centralize context. So using stuff like Okendo, you want to make sure you're feeding like rich customer data into Gorgeous tickets. So has this person left a review before? Like, and this what it does is it will help you enable like faster, more personalized support. So you have more visibility into more history, reviews, like all that kind of stuff. You don't have to like jump back and forth between windows. And what's the result of doing all this stuff? Higher CSAT, like reduced handle times, and overall, that's a better experience.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's creating a better customer experience overall. Michael, when it comes to creating retention driving experiences, like we just talked about, what does good CX actually look like?
Yeah, good CX. We're all looking for that. I think with retention specifically, it's about like making like consistent, personalized, frictionless interactions because that builds trust and loyalty over time. So like if you ever been buying something and you had like one little question right at the very end, does this run big or small? Or like, is it made out of this material or that material? Just like one little thing. Like that might be the thing that makes you decide to buy it later, right? And it's all about having all these like layers in place that answer those kind of things where it makes it fast and convenient. And you want to make sure that you can do that across every channel. Like Kayla mentioned, like, Instagram and like Facebook and all that stuff. If you're not where your customers are, you won't be able to, service those questions. And you can't like you can have a phone number and turn it off, but like people are going to reach out however they want to reach out. And it's just
Mhm.
important to be there to receive that and have systems in place to like, bring those in a systematic way and use automations to reply. So it doesn't always mean it's like perfect. It just means you're handling these questions with like empathy and efficiency. Um, I guess the other aspect is like just being really transparent about your policies, make it easy to return stuff, fast to resolve, and I think you're by doing that you're empowering your support side to really like have context so customers aren't getting like bounced around or anything like that. You can measure all that stuff too, and then you can iterate on it. So measure your CSAT over time, your NPS, and identify those friction points. And as long as you're continuously improving, like that's the whole name of like what excellent CX is.
Thank you. Kayla, same question for you. And also, how are you measuring that impact at JAXXON?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like everything Michael said is really on point because you have to be able to deliver consistent, yeah, frictionless experience, but not at, for me, something people always talk about is like efficiency, and you can't be efficient at the expense of a good customer experience. So there is a balance there. And I think with things like automation and AI, you can get yourself to where you need to be so that like your team doesn't have to deal with like the little questions like where's my order. They can deal with if a customer needs their a ring by the wedding date, they need something for a birthday present or a graduation. And I think it's being like taking actions with your feedback, whether it's negative or positive. I think a lot of people try to focus on the negative because they're like, we gotta take care of this customer and win it back. But I like to double down on the positive stuff. I'm like, this person took time to leave a good review. I want to make sure I get back to them. Or like, if we did this really well, how can we continue to do that?
Yeah. And you kind of already touched a little bit about this in your answers, but how are you using customer feedback and reviews to fuel your marketing efforts and build that
Yeah.
stronger connection with your community?
Absolutely. I mean, like the first thing that's easy is like just learn from the feedback you're getting. Is there something you can fix? Is it something that's out of your control? That's just kind of bottom line. But we love having like really like the really specific and detailed reviews and being able to send those out on, retention emails or using them in ads or just maybe featuring them on our website. But I think additionally, it's not just like showing those off, but taking some of the things like, okay, that we were really good at like a gifting experience. So how can we continue to do that and have more of those opportunities across all channels? Or is there something more that we can personalize? Like where do we have those areas for opportunity? And then, kind of also looking at, product versus service and kind of understanding like where is it that your team is doing really well? Are they really tying that whole experience together?
Right, right. And, collecting insights
Mhm.
from your customers for improving the overall experience is crucial. So what kind
Yeah.
of insights are you collecting from shoppers, and how do those insights shape your CX strategy?
Yeah, I think for me is really like I love to see when a customer like mentions an agent by name. To be able to see, okay, what is it they're specifically doing? Or even that like it's just that the customer felt like they could give them a shout out because the experience was good. I think too understanding like, okay, I'm seeing more positives about shipping rather than negatives. Like, okay, we're moving in the right direction, kind of things like that. And for me too, like I'll search certain keywords. JAXXON is a really big gifting brand. And so, I'll search like certain things that are after, gifting seasons and maybe go through the tickets and be like, okay, I see how we dealt with this, but is there anything else we could have done? Could I have maybe collected more data to enrich, all the profiles in Gorgias? So things like that, where it's just kind of like, let me look at all these little details. Like we did a good job, but like there's more we can add to it, and then you can collect more data.
Mhm. Yep, it's creating that 360-degree profile of
Hmm.
who your customer is. Um,
Yes, absolutely.
Michael, this question's for you. Can you share a little bit about how integrations like Gorgias and Okendo help streamline the processes and improve overall efficiency for support teams? I know you talked a little bit about this earlier.
Oh yeah, I live, breathe integrations all day, every day. We have a great integration with Okendo. Yeah, like why use it? Why are they important? Specifically for like Gorgeous and Okendo, really what it does is kind of like centralize your customer insights for like faster and smarter support. So, when you are reviewing like Okendo customer review data, that appears directly in a Gorgeous ticket. So anyone who's looking at that gets immediate context on like customer sentiment, customer experience, like without going back and forth between the platforms. So then that allows those folks to prioritize those tickets from customers maybe who've left a negative review, or like engage maybe a loyal reviewer more personally. So giving that kind of like context aware support gives faster resolution time. And then you can also set up like automated like tagging or routing in Gorgeous based off of review ratings. So or feedback types from Canva. So like somebody buys something, they leave a 1-star review. You don't want to let that sit around and find it days later. With our integration, it will automatically create a high priority ticket for immediate outreach. So whereas like a 5-star review might be routed to like a marketing team in case you want to contact that customer for some like user generated content or like a loyalty campaign. So all this kind of helps surface those review insights in the help desk on the CX side. And then, other teams can like leverage and stay aligned on what's actually coming out of that. And that's what it's for. Like the integration reduces a lot of that like manual effort, speeds up all the follow-ups, and really that's what enhances the customer experience. And
Yeah,
it reduces like your tickets. So yeah, reduce those tickets, everyone.
definitely. We love our integration with Gorgeous. It's helped so many of our clients reduce the time to answering support questions, specifically within the reviews. So we love it. Caela, how has JAXXON leveraged this integration between Okendo and Gorgeous to improve your team's workflow?
Mhm.
And what kind of impact has it had on your CX operations?
Yeah, I think it made it so much easier. It's just a simple process to be able to have those reviews go directly into Gorgeous. You can reply, moderate everything right there, so no one's moving between the platform. And like what Michael said, like that, sidebar is going to have that information right away. I think additionally, it helps us see, like, you're talking to a customer, they're asking post-purchase questions, or maybe they're going to make another purchase, but they've already bought things, in the past, and you're like, hey, why have you never done a review before? You have that opportunity to engage that conversation right there. And for us, I think that's great. Not only is it providing context, it's providing opportunities to gain more feedback. And I think it just works really well. And we love a good integration.
Absolutely. And as a follow-up, we know support teams aren't just solving problems anymore. They're
Mhm.
also driving revenue. So
Yes.
how are your CX team to contribute to the growth of JAXXON?
Yeah, I think when you have all that information there, you get to learn more about the customer. Even if you are talking to a customer that's their first time reaching out to you, being able to have the time to have those conversations, like our team knows our product, so they can talk about, what might work for them if there's a certain occasion it's for, or if they have, something's in their cart and they're, even if it's like a simple discount question, say like, yeah, but have you also added this? Because there's a set for it, and that's probably the best deal. So when you have kind of all these things in your toolbox, you're able to have just more engaging conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, Michael, this question is for you. How are you seeing brands like JAXXON use customer support as a growth engine and not just a support channel?
Yeah, so like growth engine, there's a lot of different ways to look at that. In terms of like revenue generation, I think it's all about just like cleaning things up and being like ready to rock and roll when you have the opportunity to do so. One of the biggest like challenges people face is like a bandwidth challenge, and I think JAXXON does a really great job of like accomplishing the work of many more agents than they actually have, and that really unlocks the ability to like upskill the team to have, identify better like
Mhm.
upsell opportunities, or like making sure there's bandwidth available if like sure, there's people ordering like one by one, but if like a bigger wholesaler kind of order comes in, like, and making sure that you can stay on top of that, is kind of like a couple of ways. Um, I think JAXXON, you guys are at like 37%, or probably even more than that, automation rate, super
Mhm.
fast response time of like 2 minutes. These are all like really, really great ways to look at like revenue generation. And then I know that you guys are also experimenting now with like our sales agent, which is going to
Mhm.
be kind of rolling out in the near future, if not already. And that's kind of the other way to do it, is like really taking people who are already interested, using context from
Mhm.
like other interactions they've had. Do they have Shopify customer profile information? Do they have Okendo information? Or, JAXXON uses tons of different app ecosystem integrations. So that can also inform your revenue generation strategy by having like better
Mhm.
data to back it up. And that's what lets you be a little more personalized.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm major props to Caela and the team for being like a shining star in the space.
Yeah, Kayla's crushing it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Amazing job. Follow up for you, Michael. What are some quick wins brands can implement to move in that same direction as JAXXON?
Yeah, so like some things you want to get in place like today, quick responses, flows. So like those frequently asked questions, having them right there, like on a pop-up window on the website. Think about like holiday specific automations. If you're having a big sale, I guess the next one we got here is Memorial Day. Think about that. Are there special promotions and offers you want to have like front and center, or like a new product, or bundling, things you can do to boost AOV? These strategic enhancements will like lead to that faster automation rate as well. And the statistics from these different strategies are exactly what like pointed Kayla in the right direction, to have clear insights on the performance of each of these things. And then you iterate over time. So that's kind of, I guess, a couple quick wins if you're not doing that already.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I will go ahead and wrap it up with our last question for both of you. And Caela, we'll go ahead and start with you. For brands looking to level up their CX strategy, what advice would you give?
Yeah, I think I say this time and time again, is like having a really strong foundation. Testing things out. Don't be afraid to try new things. You're going to learn from it either way, whether it goes, good or bad. And being more open with, marketing, with revenue, with your e-com teams. I know it can sometimes be hard because CX, sometimes we're a little bit siloed. And sometimes you can get caught up in like, oh my gosh, we have to be efficient or we're handling these things, but you can balance it. And I think you just have to be able to be ready to try new things and pivot. That's like my best advice.
And Michael, what's your tip?
I guess my Michael top tip here is just take a look at what you're using today and ask yourself, like, is everything talking to each other? Is everything speaking to each other?
Mhm.
Because you really unlock so many layers of value when you take that data-driven approach. I mean, we talked about a couple today with like, reviews automatically populating, but I mean, you're probably doing a lot of other things. And maybe if you're a lean team, you're responsible for like all aspects of e-com, right? So to speak to that personalization piece and that like North Star that you have, think about how all your customer conversations can help you better segment things in your email marketing or SMS, right? Like these are all related. And if you aren't unifying your tech stack and connecting these things together, then you might be leaving a lot on the table where if you're trying to grow, here's one way to grow. So I guess that's my top tip.
Thank you. Those are both super helpful and actionable. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat. We'll go ahead and kick off the Q&A. And I actually do have a few questions. Oh, it looks like we have one that's coming through from Courtney. What are the gifts? Are these referring to, what is that referring to? Not sure, but maybe we'll circle back on that. I do have a few seeded questions that we collected earlier before the webinar. What's one thing any brand can do today to make their customer experience feel more human? And this is open to either one of you to answer.
I think for us, it's responding to all your reviews. It can be hard, Obviously, you're going to always want to respond to the negative ones, but respond to the 5-star ones. It makes customers know that you are there on the other side, reading their feedback, and you appreciate that they took the time to do it. And it puts you right in it so that you can, you're learning more at the same time.
Absolutely. And Michael, do you have any thoughts there? We could move on to the next question.
Yeah, I guess like it's funny because it's kind of like the inverse answer like to this, but I think when you're using like AI in the right way for the right types of context and like I think one thing you can do to kind of make it more human is you can actually like train the tone of voice to be like howdy or hey or however kind of you want to like kind of convey. And I think that actually does go a long way because it doesn't make it seem so like rigid. You're like, yeah, howdy partner, if you're selling hats or if it's for dog foods, maybe like a woof or a meow or something. I don't know.
A few puns in there, something like that.
Oh yeah, the puns always deliver.
They're amazing. That's what always gets me. And a comment from Alexandra makes even customer service feel like a branded experience. Absolutely, 100%. We do have time for one more question. Are there any recent CX moments you experienced with a brand that really impressed you?
Yes. I'll go real quick.
Yeah.
I recently like ordered a backpack that was out of stock and I didn't realize because I was waiting and it's like, where's my tracking number? Which is of course probably what everyone else is doing. And um when I wrote out to find out, I got a super fast reply. It turned out this brand was using Gorgias. They ended up like changing. I didn't even have to like do anything like because it's all connected to Shopify. I said, yeah, just change it from the black one to the green one. And then sure enough, it showed up a few days later. So they really turned something that like for some people could be like a negative thing if you buy something out of stock into a much more positive experience. And that brand was called SoulGuard.
Oh, Guard sounds familiar. I think I've seen them before. Yeah, and Verb customer experience, definitely, I agree. Caela, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think for me it was just at Nordstrom. I mean, they're known for great customer service. They make the experience feel really great for you. But I had to call in because I bought something online. I wasn't able to choose like an expedited shipping. And for me, that's really weird because they always offer something else. And there wasn't anything they could do about it. But the person took the time, they were like, well, let me explain to you why you didn't see that. It's because the items I bought came directly from the seller, like it wasn't coming from Nordstrom. And I guess I never thought of that. And so I was like, oh, okay. So instead of me being frustrated, I said, I've learned something new. So now when I see that in the future, I know where my product's coming from. But they explained it so simply, so kindly that it just felt like, okay, I feel very taken care of. And now I've learned something.
Yeah. Nordstrom does have a really great customer experience program in general
Mm-hmm.
as well. Great. Well, thank you both so much for your time.